Hi guys, I am so very excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about free birthing, and it's something that really excites me, and it's just I'm very excited. Okay, so what is free birth? It is when you have a home birth and there is no midwife present. Basically an empowering way to say unassisted birth. Assisted, there is a home birth midwife present, and it specifically has to be a home birth midwife. They're not normally covered by insurance. I think certain insurances cover like a partial amount, but for the most part you would be paying out of pocket for that, and it's on average about $5,000 to $8,000 out of pocket. And you know, they work with you most of the time. They do like payment plans and just kind of figure out a situation that works for you. But just that's an FYI, you know what I mean? If you are considering having a home birth but you would feel more comfortable with a midwife. So I decided to have a free birth, and it was truly like the most empowering experience of 2020 thus far. I did post my story on my social media and I got a lot of feedback on it, so I felt that this would be a really good way to kind of answer everybody's questions in one platform, because I did get so many questions about my experience. A part of my research was reading, and I wanted to share these two books that I read during my pregnancy. So a book that I found really helpful was Home Birth on Your Own Terms. This is what it looks like, and it's by Heather Baker. She is a midwife, and there's just a lot of general information in here. She goes more into detail on certain topics than others, but even the ones that she just kind of touches base on, you know, it gives you an introduction to that. So if it's something you're interested in, you can go ahead and go do your own additional research. And you know, I skimmed back and forth throughout this whole book. And then this one is by Ina May, and this is the Guide to Childbirth. She's also a midwife, and I really appreciate how well written this book is. I'm an avid reader and also a writer myself, so I appreciate things like that. And also the pages that they use for this book feel really nice, so I'm happy about that. But she includes birth stories. The other book does have birth stories as well. Something that I really enjoyed in this book was when she was talking about the mind-body connection. I just feel like that is extremely important when a woman is laboring, and it made so much sense to me, and I resonated with a lot of what she said in this book. So I was happy about reading these two books throughout my pregnancy, so I recommend them, and I will also include them in the link for you if you'd like to go check it out for yourself. It's important to be educated on birthing at home because there are a lot of different variables that come into play. You know, if you are high risk, you want to make sure that a home birth is something that's suitable for you. Now, I was considered high risk, but it wasn't like any specific sort of reason. My situation's kind of weird. Like, I didn't have any, like, I don't have health problems that are preventing me from, you know, going to full term. It's just my first two kids, I had them early, so I'm automatically considered high risk. But with this third baby, I made it to 38 weeks even. So I felt comfortable enough at that point to labor at home. You know, I had a healthy pregnancy, everything went well, so I felt fine to labor at home. And thankfully there weren't any situations where I would have to transfer and go to a hospital. If something goes wrong where assistance is needed, then it can become a medical emergency. But if you're really healthy and it's a normal healthy labor and childbirth, there's really no need for medical intervention, especially if you're doing your research and you're reading. Like, I had the perfect experience. Just to kind of get into my backstory and my situation, it was super fast. It was the least painful out of the three. It was 4.5 hours, which is the shortest labor I've ever had. And you know, I just remember feeling calm. Like I wasn't fearful about anything. I wasn't worried about anything. I was just focused on my breathing. That's the main thing. If you want to give birth without medication, it is important, and it does play into the amount of pain that you feel, because if you're really focused on your breath, it's not that bad. Like I remember my first 2 labors being extremely painful, and my 3rd labor, yes, it was painful, but it wasn't anywhere near the level of my 2 other births, which were both in a hospital setting. I remember being in labor and I was sitting on my yoga ball, just kind of bouncing up and down, going through my contractions, listening to the ocean waves on my Pandora station, and just being really relaxed and thinking that I had more time. Like I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't need to fill up my birth tub right now because I don't want the water to get cold. I don't know how long this labor is gonna be. It just happened so quickly that I didn't have time to fill up my birth pool, and I actually ended up giving birth in my bathtub. It's not how I pictured it, but I am happy that I still got to experience a water birth. Pushing her out had to be my favorite part. I don't know how to explain it to you. It was magical, is like the word that comes to mind. It was just crazy. I pushed her out fast. None of my labors, like when it was time to push, none of them took a while. Like they slid right out for all of them. I didn't force it. I waited for my body, because your body knows what to do even if you don't. It got to a point where my body started pushing automatically, and I was experiencing FER, which is an acronym for fetal ejection reflex. It's basically just your body bearing down on its own without you doing it consciously. So I waited for that to happen, and I listened to my body. If you do feel that something is wrong, you have to pay attention to that. Do not ignore that. Thankfully for me, I didn't have that feeling. Nothing went wrong. I pushed her out. I grabbed her immediately, and she started crying immediately, so I didn't have to worry about her not receiving oxygen. She latched on immediately as well. I waited until my cord was white and limp before cutting it. My kids were present for this experience. It's really educational and informative, and it's a memory for them to have and look back on. My son was really, really helpful. You know, he was holding my hand and just kind of sitting with me throughout my contractions, and he was actually the one who cut the umbilical cord. I was very excited that he actually did it, because he was kind of nervous at first, but he did it, and it's just an amazing memory, and I think back on it often because it's really the best memory of this year so far. I loved the fact that I had complete control. My mom did end up coming with my stepdad at the end, but for like the first half of my labor, it was just me and the kids. It was me coaching myself a lot of the time. I was on the phone for a little bit with a friend of mine. She's actually a doula, and she was helping me, which was great, because there was this one part where I actually threw up, and it was a new experience for me because I've never thrown up with any of my labors, and it was while she was on the phone. So that was helpful, because I hate vomiting. Like I don't like it. So shout out to her for helping me through that. She knows who she is. But it was just truly awesome, and I wanted to just kind of sit down and talk about it with you guys. If you have any additional questions, I know I didn't cover everything because it's just so much information, but if you have any questions, you can ask. I have people asking me questions all the time about this, which is why I decided to make this video. So thumbs up if you found this helpful, if you found it entertaining. I had a really good time sitting here chatting with you about this. I will talk to you guys in another video and let you guys know about my placenta. That's gonna be very, very interesting as well. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.